Hello, everyone, and happy third Thursday. Today's event has closed captioning in English. To turn on closed captioning, press the CC icon along the bottom of your toolbar. My name is Leanne. I coordinate events for Algonquin College, and I am filling in for Michelle today as your event host. Welcome back to those who previously attended a Third Thursday event, and welcome to those who are tuning into Third Thursday for the first time. Third Thursday is a cross-college collaboration. On the third Thursday of every month, we bring in local innovators, speakers, entrepreneurs, and creatives to you so we can learn from one another. The winter semester is on the theme of explore. Every month, we will feature a new neighborhood in our city so we can learn about our neighbors, build community, and support local businesses along the way. This month, we are exploring the West End neighborhood, Hintonburg. We are going to play a video for you that showcases Hintonburg and the businesses represented today. So Ryan, please roll the clip.
Hey Algonquin College, we're launching
the third season of Third Thursday.
What's Third Thursday?
Third Thursdays are conversations
that spark ideas and create community.
Every month, we invite local experts and innovators
to share stories that inspire and empower listeners.
This year, in our virtual edition, we challenge you
to tune in on the third Thursday of every month.
In a new location in your home.
We challenge you to change your space into a place.
And we'll bring inspiring innovators from inspiring places to you virtually.
Let's explore this new reality together.
Students, employees, alumni, and community partners.
Forge meaningful connections while learning from each other.
The Third Thursday community is story-driven,
curious, and collaborative.
And we're not afraid of perspective shifts
or pushing the envelope.
We skip the small talk
and dig deep into topics that matter.
We're here to fuel dreams through dialogue
and to turn passion into purpose.
Come and be a part of the story.
AC is bringing you Third Thursday Explore. Get to know local businesses in our community. This month in February, we're exploring the West End neighborhood of Hintonburg. Les Moulins La Fayette Hintonburg were started in 2017 by three budding entrepreneurs looking to make their unique mark and bring authentic French bakery experience to Ottawa. The young trio has established a vital hub in Hintonburg for French pastries, bread, gourmet sandwiches, and excellent coffee. The community of Hintonburg has embraced this establishment for its authenticity and passion to make a difference in the community. The third place, the neutral public places where people can gather and interact. Unlike the first place, home, and the second place, work, the third place allows people to put aside their concerns and simply enjoy the pleasures of good company, what Hintonburg's vibe is all about. Founded in 2015, Maker's House mission has been to bring the maker movement to Main Street retail and found their home in Hintonburg. Their shop changes the way the community engages both with the products they buy and the crafters who make them. Maker House is the convergence of a love for handmade furniture, authentic stories, and community growth. Join us now for Third Thursday. Let's explore Hintonburg.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Now, before we introduce our speakers, I have a couple of housekeeping items. Today's event is in webinar format, meaning as an attendee, you can see and hear our panelists. However, we cannot see or hear you. Along the bottom of the screen, you will find a chat button. Feel free to use this feature to introduce yourself and to connect with your community. If you have a question for our panelists, you may type it in the Q&A tab for our moderator, Susan, to read aloud on your behalf. So to kick off today's event, we would like everyone to now open the chat tab along the bottom of the screen, and please type out the answer to, what does collaboration mean to you? But please wait to press send until we say so, because we're all going to send our answers together at the same time. A tip is to ensure that you're typing to both panelists and attendees so that all can see. And the question again was, what does collaboration mean to you? Just going to give everyone a couple seconds. Okay, and I'm going to count down from 3 and we'll all send our answers at the same time. So 3, 2, 1, send. Being open, equality, participation, community, a team worker. I love all these. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I am sure some of these themes will come up today while speaking with our panel. We welcome you to continue using the chat tab throughout today's event to connect with your community. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the virtual stage over to my colleague, Susan, who will be introducing our panelists and moderating today's event. So thank you, Susan. Over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I want to make sure everyone can hear me. I was laughing. I've updated my Zoom and figured out how to filter my face. So I think I look much better than I actually do this morning. So super pumped to have everybody here. I work with the college events team, and I'm always really excited to moderate Third Thursday. It's definitely one of my favorite events that we do within the college events team. It means we get to connect with our college community and our wider outside community, which really is what Third Thursday is all about. This week, as Leanne said, and you saw in the video, we are looking at the neighborhood of Hintonburg. And I was super happy to moderate today's event because Hintonburg is my fave neighborhood. Anyone who knows me, I'm constantly talking about all the amazing small businesses there. I'm a huge foodie, love local, and there's just such a great feel when you get into Hintonburg. We were lucky enough to touch base with all of our panelists a couple of weeks ago when we went to film, and just a really great vibe there. Everyone knows each other. All of our panelists already knew each other, and it just speaks to how close that community is. So with that, I want to introduce our panelists and say thank you so much for coming. Veda, I'm coming to you first. I'm going to move from each one of you, and you can each introduce yourselves. And just a quick hello. So Veda, I'll start with you if you want to unmute yourself and say hello to everybody.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me and featuring our business. I appreciate it. It's yeah, it's pretty cool that you guys you do this and feature Hintonburg.
Awesome. And Ashley, I'll come to you next if you want to say hello and the business you're with.
Hi guys, my name is Ashley. I'm one of the owners of the Third in Hintonburg, and this is a pretty neat adventure that we're taking right now, a little different than normal, but we're excited to be a part of it and appreciate it and happy to have our neighbors join us too.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. And Gareth.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gareth Davies. I'm the owner, founder of Maker House. And yeah, we're thrilled to be on the program today with Veda. We're big fans of Les Moulins across the street since even before they opened. We've been connected with you guys. And Ashley at the Third, you see me far too often because we just can't get enough of all the local goodness.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move into a discussion, but I want to encourage everyone who's watching. You can certainly start adding your questions to the Q&A, and we can ask them as we go through here. But obviously, you know, everyone's businesses are looking a little bit different. Certainly Algonquin, you know, we're all online. So I just want to kick off the conversation by asking, you know, we've all applauded. We're finally out of the lockdown. I, for one, am so relieved. I've already been out and visited a couple of my favorite establishments. So I'm just curious, and Veda, I'll come to you first. I know that you guys were able to stay open and people were in getting takeout and such. But in terms of you know, what COVID has looked like for you, are there any tips or you know, things that you want to share with the audience as to how you've managed to come through it?
Yeah, for sure. It's I think being an entrepreneur in 2021 or 2020 is a whole different ball game to, you know, back 10 years ago. It's not for the you know, faint-hearted. It's I mean, there's this talk of pivoting as the word of the for a small business owner, and I think all three of us have done that quite well. And I mean, it's unfortunate to see on our street a lot of the businesses that weren't able to adapt quickly enough and they've shut down, which is it's tough to see, especially in such a thriving neighborhood. And it's been up and down. Like the most recent lockdown didn't help for sure, especially leading into 2021. We were all optimistic to say, okay, well, this year it's going to get better. We're going to the economy is going to improve as well. But unfortunately, the momentum from Christmas to the winter didn't help at all. But I think as a team with the two other owners that I work with, we've been able to work with our staff and ensure that we've been, even retain most of our staff despite the pandemic to support them and also the neighborhood with whatever needs that they have.
Awesome. Gareth, I'm going to come to you and ask the same question.
Sounds good. So yeah, just such a roller coaster for coming up on a year. We did about 95% of our sales in store prior to COVID. And we're really all about that experience, that tactile, in-person analog experience that it's quite novel actually in this century, and people put their phones in their pockets when they come in the store, and they kind of like enjoy a break from that. So we've still invested in that website component that obviously became a lifeline overnight. So we went from maybe 5% online sales to, looking back at 2020, it was 60% of our sales happened online. And of course, we were just closed for a number of months. We ended up voluntarily closing November 27th, right before Black Friday, because we were just getting crushed with the online orders, which is great. Like, we're so lucky to have, 5 years kind of a running head start with a bunch of loyal customers who know about us, and then the website that we built out. But we weren't ready for the logistics of the holiday season, which is like half of our annual sales in any year. And this year it actually was more than that, because just the way the year went, there was a lot of latent demand. So where we maybe were behind by earlier in the year, by September, it was made up for it at the holidays. But that's just a challenge for any business to scale that quickly. So we had to close the store to make room for like curbside pickup bags. These are all good problems to have, but it was just such a weird decision to have to make, to when we're allowed to be open, to close the store because of the logistics of curbside and deliveries taking up space, and also the stress on our team. We ended up having more staff, but it was still not enough to manage both in-store and online. In-store had become such a workload with the, greeting everybody, the protocols at the door. As much as it becomes routine, it's still a huge stress, especially if there's pushback. And, the longer we go into this, then the more you find there's people on different pages, let's say, with respect to the rules. And so we've been locked down since just before December ourselves, and we're still closed even with the measures being opened up. We're doing some renovations in the shop, and we're just kind of taking that website for to ride us through at least another month while we get set up and see what happens. Like, every business doesn't have that luxury, and we didn't think we did either until we realized our customers could pivot online with us. Yeah,
which is all awesome, right? And I really like what you said. It's what works best for each business. And you're going to pivot as you need to. And especially, mental health of your staff, and making sure that during this really tough time, everyone's still energized and feeling good about their jobs and the work that they do. I think that, those are all really smart, responsible decisions. And then Ashley, I know obviously yours looks a little bit different. The third is a bar restaurant. Do you want to talk a little bit how you guys have sort of coped with COVID, and maybe how you've pivoted a little bit?
Can you guys hear me okay?
You're good.
Yes, roller coaster, a little bit of an understatement. Personally, my thoughts on it is I have to stay positive through this. Not only just being a leader, but for your own sanity. It has definitely been a challenge. If you've been here, you might know, but our whole entire concept is community, coming in, seeing your neighbor, seeing a friend that you didn't even know was here. We also focus on hospitality, which is a lot different than service. We can all do takeout and bring you a bag of food or whatnot, but that's not the concept. So at the beginning, almost a year ago, we actually just shut down because we did not think it was going to go for a year, because it was not our concept. It's not the culture that we were trying to create. Moving forward, it went on a lot longer. So we did decide to do takeout, but you could see not only in our customers, but even in ourselves, it was a little bit heartbreaking because you don't get that interaction. You don't get to see your community, see what's going on, how everyone's doing. So that was challenging. I will say the very first day that we did takeout, we were almost a little like emotional because we got to see our neighbors and our friends, our amazing customers, but it was kind of like, hi, bye, take care. But we've been doing okay. We've been more fortunate than some other places because Hintonburg has been so supportive. It is a fabulous community here. We've also kept majority of our staff because it's not only important for the business, but for them, taking care of each other through this. And like you were talking about mental health, it's a thing, and boredom is a thing too. So keeping our staff, having jobs, having somewhere to go as long as they're feeling comfortable, I think has made it a little more easy because we do still get to see each other still in a safe environment. But there's definitely challenges with everything because we are a little bit old school. The website, the technology, we're about come in, here's your meal. We're not into all this new stuff, which we have to do now. But that's been probably our biggest challenge, is moving on with the times.
Yeah, I feel you. And so hopefully, you know, as we see more vaccines getting rolled out, it'll obviously still take some time, but yeah, I feel like a lot of us are just, we can't wait for it to get back to a normal, and it'll be a new normal. But just so happy that, you know, you guys have survived. And Veda was saying, you know, it's so sad to see. And I've heard of some of your community's businesses that haven't been able to make it through. And it's just really, really tough to hear that because it is such a great community. You guys all mentioned community as you were talking about how you've pivoted and how you've gotten through this. And so it's unfortunate to see that some have not been able to, and hopefully they'll be able to come back. And so now I really want to pivot this conversation to much more positive, because we are super pumped that you guys are with us, and that your businesses are doing well, and that you've figured out, you know, how to make that happen through such a difficult time. And so, you know, some of the things that I thought about when I thought about having this panel discussion is in each of your bios and on your websites, when you talk about your businesses, it really, you know, highlights the fact that you guys are proud to be in Ottawa, in Hintonburg. You've started these businesses. Obviously, anyone knows that it takes such perseverance. It takes innovation and a creative mind. And I want to ask the question, and Ashley, I'm going to come to you first, and you can continue with what you were saying because you've touched on it a little bit. But what does being a local Ottawa business mean to you? And, you know, if you want to specify within Hintonburg, because we've already started that community conversation, which is what Third Thursday is all about, creating that community. And I can tell your business is really all about that. But yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about what it means to have a business in Ottawa.
I mean, it's pretty exciting, pretty proud of what we've accomplished. We've been around for about 3 years. But Ottawa, I'm pretty proud to be from Ottawa. I grew up just outside, but Ottawa is an amazing city. Sometimes people give us flack about it, but it's a great city. Having a business here, being a part of it is pretty special. I'm also very proud to say, like, I found something that I love to do. So when you find something that you love to do, it makes it that much special when you're a part of a community of entrepreneurs and making our city such a great place. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is I'm proud to be a part of it. And so happy for the support that our little community inside the city receives from a company.
Yeah, I love that. You touched on it exactly. I find sometimes when I'm talking to my friends who live outside of Ottawa, maybe in bigger cities, we're always getting the label of like a boring city, but I just think we have so much now and there's so many great things to do. Gareth, I'll come to you with the same thing in terms of, what it means to you to be a local business in Ottawa.
Awesome. I loved Ashley's answer to that question. I grew up in Kingston, not too far away, but a lot smaller, less than 200,000 people. Ottawa is, pretty much 1 million people is how I think of it with the broader city. And then I lived in downtown Toronto, where there's like 5 million people in the GTA. Lived there for 5 years after university. So Ottawa is that perfect blend, and it's why we moved here to make it our home, almost 10 years ago. My wife grew up in Canada, so her family's here. But it really is a small, big city, or a big little town, whatever way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
It's easy to connect with other people. It's manageable to build like authentic, strong bonds with other businesses. In Hintonburg is a really good example because we have this Main Street ecosystem, and we have a wonderful BIA, and it's really just a like-minded community. Everybody that seems to open a business here is looking for that, is looking to connect with other small business owners, and the customers, I think, are looking for the same thing. But that does spread across Ottawa. I think maybe more you feel it in the downtown or in the main streets, out to Vanier as well. But I think even folks who live in, the burbs that are in Ottawa, they just value that small town feel, that connection. So I would say that's the biggest thing, the biggest impact on our business by being in Ottawa is that it's big enough that there's a lot of market potential, but it's definitely not overly large to where you can't really connect or feel like, you're an important part of the city,
Yeah, awesome. Very well articulated. And Veda, same question to you. What does it mean for you to have a business in Ottawa?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in Mississauga, so I came to Ottawa to do university. My 2 other business partners were already in town, so I only met them later on. I was in the Army before starting businesses, and so I met my other business partner we were in the same unit serving together. And so serving in Ottawa and wearing the uniform, it's just when you see anyone in uniform in Ottawa, that's something that was a foreign concept to me growing up in Mississauga. But as soon as I started doing it, I got exactly that feeling of pride, not only just being part of the Army, but also just looking at just having that pride of being in such a small town, but at the same time having some fabric of that community feeling as well. And then when we started the business, we couldn't have found a better location than Hintonburg. We were hands down, it was an easy choice. We didn't have to, look twice at the spot. It was right across from Maker's house, and then the third came along. It was just perfect. I think the community itself has been super supportive of just local business in general. And I think since I came to Ottawa, I've seen such a big change in how community oriented people are towards local business, and how many other businesses are done really well in Ottawa versus Toronto. And obviously Shopify has put us on the international scale, but prior to that we had Nortel. But it's just, I see a lot more entrepreneurs taking chances and risks in Ottawa versus going somewhere else.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so this is great because it now transitions into my next question. We are started talking about the larger scope of how it feels to be an entrepreneur in Ottawa and what your business or what it means to have a business here. But I'm really curious, to give our viewers a bit more of an in-depth look. And Veda, I'm going to come to you because you've already started to talk about it. But in terms of how you got started, is this your first business, or did you have something before? You spoke on it a little bit, or maybe how you met your business partners, and sort of the story of how you came to be?
For sure. So prior to starting the business, two of the three of us were serving together in the forces. We already had an entrepreneurial mindset of trying to do something. We started a nonprofit charity a few years prior to starting the bakery. It's called the Frontline Healthcare, and it's a charity to support first responders and their families with their mental health care bills and whatnot. So that was something that we started. But then we were, burning out because we're working full time in the Army, trying to support the nonprofit as well. And we wanted to open a medical clinic. So there was a lot going on. And the working full time was it was a challenge. So then we decided to, just leave the Army and focus our full time efforts towards not only making a difference, but transition into a business and really see what we can do with our potential as a collective.
Love it. Okay. And Gareth, I'm going to ask you the same thing. How did Maker House come to be?
So I'll give you the short version.
Okay, sounds good.
Purposes. But yeah, I had kind of always wanted to start a business since maybe, leaving high school, going through university, but never found the idea that was worth it, taking that risk, taking that plunge. And I wasn't in that spot yet because things have to align for the right timing. One note about being an entrepreneur in Ottawa, and I think it doesn't apply to everybody, but I think you'll find a lot of entrepreneurs in Ottawa, they will have a partner sometimes who is a stable, employed, like federal government employee. And that is certainly the case for me. And I think that's an interesting dichotomy. And I think one, like the stability, the boring side of Ottawa actually fuels the entrepreneurial side of Ottawa through that dynamic. So I conceptualized Maker House over about 5 to 7 years, from wanting to do like reclaimed furniture into moving to Ottawa, discovering the maker movement here. And then once I got the name, I was like, okay, now I know what this is, and I can scope it out from there. So we started as a pop-up shop in 2015 here in the same location. We just took on a 3-month lease. We had actually wanted that location, but it was way too expensive. And by the time we went through a couple other options that didn't work out, we didn't actually open other locations. We came back to this spot, and it had been on the market so long, the landlord was willing to play ball on a short-term pop-up. And then we kind of use that as a way to test it and give our customers a chance to support and indicate that we should stick around. And then we did. So we've been here for 5 years, started with maybe like 30 different makers. The concept is all Canadian makers, from furniture and homewares, which are kind of our roots, into gifts, which is a lot of what our customers shop for at the store, because it's such an eclectic mix of now over 200 different makers, and it evolves every day. It's super fun to connect directly with our suppliers and know them personally. It's a lot more work than dealing with like one distributor for all of your products that are made somewhere that you don't know, and you don't know how they're made. But yeah, it's well worth it, because we have that strong community within our product mix, and that's what our customers are looking for.
Yeah, and I can just vouch everything that Gareth is saying. I've been in the store hundreds of times, and you go in and you just all of a sudden feel like you're connected to the people that work there, and the furniture makers, and everything is so tangible, and it really does feel different than going into another furniture store or another gift store. It's a really, really nice feeling. You definitely nailed that aspect of it. And same with the Third. I feel like anytime I go into the Third, I don't know if you get this reference all the time, but it feels like Cheers, and you walk in, there's always someone there that I know. And it's so nice. And it has that visceral feeling of just feeling like a community. And so Ashley, I'm really curious. I know a bit of this story because we have mutual friends. I was really excited to hear when you guys were starting this, but if you want to let our audience know, and for the entrepreneurs that are listening, and just people that are really into Hintonburg, how you got started and how you picked that location.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in this industry for a long, long time. And I actually went to school a couple times, and I was still in the hospitality, and it supported me. And it finally occurred to me that this is kind of the calling, because I always come back to it. I love being around people. I love the chat. I can't really see myself sitting for a long time or sitting in an office job 9 to 5. I do like the challenge of it's different every day. But the third started, I had been in the hospitality industry, and with my partner I worked with for about 7 years, and we had a great time, and it always worked out. And I mean, a little bit of a sad note, the space that we got came available. The previous owner did pass. Older gentleman, was great. And it just kind of seemed like such a great option for us. And yes, the reference to Cheers, that is something that we wanted to kind of create. There's a little bit of a culture started in the city where it was all about the service, and it was almost not cool to give that hospitality. And so we just wanted to create a space that everyone's welcome. It's a place to come, sit back, relax, and, you know, get to know your neighbor, get to know your friends. And everyone from those who have lived in Hintonburg for 30 years or those who have lived here for 3 years still feel welcome to come in, and there's nothing to be intimidated about, and they can come back because everyone deserves a relaxing space and comfortable space to go outside of their house and their job, their third place.
Yeah, I love that. I love, like, yeah, it doesn't matter in terms of like demographic, and yeah, you've been around for this long or this long. It's a really welcoming place. Okay, awesome. So I have one more question on my list that I want to ask, and I think it'll be beneficial for everybody, but we have a couple questions, so I'm just going to move to those. Our first one is from Leslie, and it's for Veda specifically. They're asking why a bakery? Did you have experience with in the food services industry?
No, we did not have any experience in the food service industry. The main reason is, so my business partner and I, we would always meet at a Starbucks to sit and work and, try to hash out all the business plans that we have. But there was never good food to have with your coffee. There was always just good coffee, but not, those baked items or savory items that you want to have with your coffee. So we were in Montreal, and we had one of these almond croissants, and we said, you know what, this is something that we need to mash this almond croissant with this coffee quality. And so we said, okay, let's start a bakery. And so our third business partner, Aditya, went to get some training in Quebec. And so then that's how the story came, to be.
Awesome. Again, I'm just going to keep attesting to everybody who's on here. I've obviously been to Les Moulins La Fayette, and the croissants are like one of the best in the city. And they're definitely my downfall. I probably eat too many of them. But yeah, and your prepped foods, like everything, just so good. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I really am being sincere. Each one of these locations, when you go in, you feel so welcomed. And it's just such a nice sense of community. And I just don't always think that you get that. I feel like a bit of a fraud. I used to live in Westboro. I live downtown now. Hintonburg is like where I have my, my eyes set. I want to end up there eventually, because I really do. Everyone I talk to who says, where's a great area to live? I'm always saying this area. And Veda, you touched on something that I just want to ask the others as well. In terms of the question that was asked, why a bakery? We talked a little bit about how you got started and what it means to be a business, but I'm curious too, Gareth, why furniture, why the Maker House? And, I like the idea of bringing those small vendors, having them be more accessible. I think it was just, something that we hadn't seen before. And you mentioned that, you were into some of those aspects, but I'm curious if there was any other things that, why you chose that.
That's a good question. I think I do have a lifelong love for furniture. It goes back, like I didn't realize the seeds were being planted when I was younger, but I went to a lot of antique markets with my grandparents, and they had a lot of furniture in their house that was like really good quality. Back when things were naturally made like by default in good quality, like mid-century items or antiques that were passed down to them. Still have them in my house. Like my 2-year-old son's dresser was at one point refinished by my grandfather. So I didn't realize that was going to be like a career for me, but lo and behold, my professional background is actually more like sales and marketing. So I worked in media and advertising for about 5 years. And I really got a good feel for like the market and that there's this big gap and disconnect between what stores are offering and what people are interested in, I guess, and the connection that people are missing from their products. I read the book, The Story of Stuff, somewhere along the way, and being somewhat of like environmentally conscious, I guess it just led me to see very clearly that gap in the market of people wanting to know the story of their stuff, and especially as we get more educated, that it's not always a good story, and there's this hidden cost to buying things that come from outside of your community or outside of your country, and there's all these hidden benefits of buying things local. So that's how I kind of wound my way into it. My training on woodworking has been just organic. Maybe a couple of years before opening, I started to build furniture like at our house that we still use, like my dining table and coffee tables and stuff. And then I guess that was part of testing the concept, like whether there's a business in that. And most of our furniture though is since our early days when I was making some things, it's made by other way more trained professionals who often come through the Algonquin College woodworking programs. In fact, our full-time woodworker came through Algonquin. So
awesome. That's awesome. So we have another question here, and Ashley, I'm going to bring it to you. You mentioned before, how you got started. You had a love for the hospitality industry and made it, what you wanted it to be. And I think that's really inspirational. One of our other questions in the Q&A is, what's your favorite part about your job? So again, you touched on this a little bit, but in terms of, is it the owning the business piece, or being able to connect with everybody, a little bit of both? I'm curious what your favorite part of your job is.
There's a lot that I do love about my job. The unknown of like, you never know who you're going to meet. You can never judge anyone. And it's like you meet some really, really interesting and lovely people. I think that's the most of it. I do have like with the restaurant and the food, I do have a little bit of a creative side. I've always had that. So being able to take some of that and apply it to, whether it's things on our menu or even just design or decor in our space, that was a really fun experience. But probably meeting people, it's so lovely. You never know who it is and what their experiences are. So I think that's the most exciting part of it. The challenging part is then also you don't know who you ever are going to meet at the same time. But no, it's been always in my blood, I think, to be around people and to chat to people. I think that's the most exciting.
I always say, and for those of you obviously that don't know, I worked in the hospitality industry for a long time as well, put myself through school like a lot of people. And I can tell, in terms of our listeners who are on this webinar today, if students are in the School of Hospitality and Tourism, in woodworking, I think that you can obviously, there's just such potential, and you can really, take your education and take your experience and make it what you want. And I always used to say, I now work at the college and I'm very happy, but the skill set that I got from customer service, customer relations, and working in the hospitality industry are just incredible. And I often laugh. I think that the way that people who have worked in that industry in customer service, the way that we interact with others and are able to build those relationships really, really makes a difference. I've noticed in my career. And I think that as successful entrepreneurs, for all of you, it's got to be a mainstay for your day-to-day business. So I just think it's really, really great. Okay, so I'm just making sure that we're good on time because I want to ask, there's one question at the end here that I want to ask before we get to our community soapbox. So I'm going to go to the Q&A. So we have one from Megan, and thank you for your question, Megan. Would any of the speakers take on AC? Would any of the speakers take on AC co-op placement students? That's like putting you right on the spot, but yeah, Algonquin College has an amazing co-op opportunity. We have placement programs, so certainly for our students that are listening, if we're obviously putting all of your information in the chat and how to reach out to you. So a really good opportunity again, to be that community that we talk about, and to encourage our students. So I don't know if any of you want to answer that question, you're welcome to. But yeah, just a really good mention that AC, we see so many of our graduates within the city working all over the place. And I think especially in hospitality and in customer service. So
happy to respond and just say, yeah, definitely reach out if there's someone watching today or someone in your network you think might be interested in, whether it's like in the retail store, working with customers, fulfilling online orders, doing all the merchandising, receiving, shipping, logistics of selling Canadian made things, or on the woodworking side, which is a smaller team for us and more specialized, then feel free to reach out to us. We're always keen to connect.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so as I've mentioned now, I'm a huge fan of Hintonburg. I think there's so many great spots, and whether they, are smaller businesses or larger ones, right away I can think of these three businesses that I'm honestly a huge fan of all of them. But I want to ask each one of you, if you had to pick, one of your hidden gems of Hintonburg, what would it be? And Veda, I'm going to come to you first.
So it's a hidden gem in terms of another business, right?
Yeah, in terms of the business, and maybe not necessarily, it could be a hidden gem to someone who doesn't know the area as well, but maybe people in Hintonburg know all about it. But yeah, one of your favorites that you maybe think is underrated or doesn't get enough attention.
Right. I mean, there's so many of them. There's Iron North, the gym. There's Gray Whale, the barbershop where I just got my haircut yesterday.
Nice.
So it's honestly, like, if someone just spends, you can spend an afternoon or an evening literally just going from business to business on just Wellington Street alone from start to finish. So I think those are two things two businesses: the Iron North gym, a super great like boutique fitness, and also the Gray Whale barbershop for men.
Awesome. I like your two choices because it's probably not what everyone would think of first in terms of a barber and a gym. So I love that. Ashley, I'll come to you next. Some hidden gems that you want to share with everyone?
It's really funny because I've actually been asked this question before and I couldn't narrow it down to one. And I kind of made it as a, like, what I would do in a day if I wasn't working in Hintonburg.
I love that.
And it kind of started off as like going to Maker House and doing shopping, because who doesn't love to shop? And there's around the corner, there's a little restaurant, Meat Press. And if you need a good sandwich, they're unbelievable. They do such great work. And then since I had my sandwich, I would go to our local brewery, which is Tooth and Nail, and they do amazing beer. They brew there and their staff is fabulous. And then another gem that I do love, might be a little outside of it, but Victoire, they're two young ladies that have this beautiful women's boutique. Shop there a lot, but it's a great place. And then it's not really a shop or a store, but just being on the street in Hintonburg, just walking around it's a gem in itself, because we all work here and live close to the neighborhood. Just seeing our fellow friends. So Hintonburg itself is a gem, I would say. From a really small town too, it makes me feel comfortable too, knowing that you can, even if you don't actually know them, it's a hello, nice to see you, because we kind of know each other and we have this connection of Hintonburg.
Yeah, love it. Okay, and Gareth, what do you think?
I can't top that. those are all amazing. And Meat Press has a Brussels sprout Caesar salad that I believe is deep fried, which maybe I'm wrong, but it tastes like it is. It's so good. That was my wife's like pregnancy request food constantly. Although when she's on mat leave, she goes to Les Moulins and hangs out at, with the croissants and the coffee with her friend, sketching the streetscape out your beautiful windows, which she cannot wait to do again. By the way, Veda, she's on mat leave right now and missing that. I would say there's this great donut shop. Have you ever heard Susie Q? I'm kidding. That's not a hidden gem. But talk about a staple that brings a lot of people into the neighborhood and creates lineups that go past your door, right? Actually, it's like a blessing and a curse sometimes. But I'm going to go like totally fringe because you've covered a lot of the staples I can think of, from Tooth and Nail to, other restaurants. Malenka Originals is a really cool DIY paint your own furniture. They sell chalk paint. They sell other sort of craft supplies for refinishing furniture primarily, but you could use it on probably walls and other projects. And they're just around the corner from us, right beside the Grey Whale Barber Shop. So check out Malenka Originals. A great friend of mine, Katrina, started that shop in Britannia, moved here to Hintonburg. So if you want to get crafty during the pandemic, that's a good one. The best wood-fired pizza for my money is Tennessee Willem's. Can't get enough of that. And then a real hidden gem. So the businesses that are like totally unassuming, hole in the wall, and you're like, is that going to survive? Because it's not like a hip new business. Okay, go into Al Jazeera Grocery Market and get a samosa for yourself.
I love it.
Right beside the Record Center, and their samosas are like, I don't know, $1.75, and one of them will fill you up. So if you're a student, there you go.
Awesome. That's so great. Yeah, there's a couple in there that I haven't heard of, so I'll for sure check those out. And it's just nice to hear, from people who work and live in Hintonburg and to know what your favorites are. And we always joke, you never want to share like your hidden gems because you don't want it to become like this mass thing, where all of a sudden there's lineups and stuff. So we appreciate that. Okay, so I want to say thanks for all the questions that people were asking. I think that this was just like a really great conversation, which is obviously the whole point of this. And again, I love that you guys all know each other and you can really feel that Hintonburg is a community. Like there's a real sense of community there, and Ashley nailed it. The hidden gem of Hintonburg is Hintonburg. You go there and you walk along the streets and you just have a smile on your face. And I can appreciate that, there are tons of communities in Ottawa, and anyone who lives in that community hopefully gets the same feeling. And certainly this is very prevalent for Hintonburg. So we were really happy. And thank you to Veda and Ashley and Gareth, because you really conveyed that. And it really makes me happy and puts a smile on my face. And I hope that, again, in these harder times, that because of this and because of other promotions that you guys are getting in other areas, that, you do continue to be able to do well during the pandemic, and that eventually this will all be over. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Leanne, and she is going to wrap up our event. Leanne, over to you.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, Veda, Ashley, and Gareth. I recommend when you have a chance taking a read through the comments in the chat. There's so many great messages from attendees. And thank you to our attendees for those kind words and for tuning in with us today. We do have a giveaway this afternoon for 3 $75 gift cards, one to each of the businesses featured today. Attendees must be currently online to win. So if your name is called, please type in the chat or raise your virtual hand so that we know you're here. I'm going to ask Ryan to share his screen and we'll do the draw at random. Great, thank you, Ryan. So the first draw we're going to do is for the $75 gift card to Le Moulins La Fayette Hintonburg. And the winner is Rebecca Vole. Rebecca, are you online? Awesome, Rebecca's online. So we will go ahead and move to the next one, which will be the $75 gift card to the 3rd. Awesome. So the winner is Buzik Kane. Can you, oh, perfect. I see your raised hand. So they're online and we will go ahead and move to the last draw. And this one's for the $75 gift card to Maker House Co. And Annie H, are you online? Awesome, Annie's online. So that's it for the giveaways. Thank you so much, Ryan and everyone. And congratulations to all the winners. I will contact you by email post-event to get you your prizes. And awesome. So before I conclude today, I would like to open the virtual stage for the Community Soapbox. For those who are new to Third Thursday, the Community Soapbox is where we welcome our community to share something with the group. Perhaps you have a shout out to another local business, to a virtual event coming up, whatever it may be. We welcome you to share in the chat now or raise your virtual hand to be called upon to unmute and share aloud. So just going to give it a couple minutes. Oh, we do have a raised hand, but Wazook, is that from you winning your prize? Yeah, okay. So while we're waiting for someone to raise their hand or share in the chat, I would like to take the opportunity to highlight a virtual event that Algonquin College is hosting tomorrow evening for students, employees, and alumni entitled Illuminate Your Senses. Registration is open if anyone would like to join us for this wine and food matching workshop, and Bonnie's going to share the link in the chat for me. Is there anyone else, either by the chat or their raised hand, who'd like to take the opportunity to share? Awesome. So there's Canada Central BIA has a scavenger hunt on, so we can win lots of prizes. So definitely worth checking out there. And a sneak peek at next month's Third Thursday, we are exploring Canada. So you can give you a heads up, you can get a leg up on finding out what great businesses are in the Canada BIA before our next Third Thursday. We also have the Table of the City is community to Hintonburg this summer, and more info is going to come soon. And for the Canada BIA, the scavenger hunt is March 26th to April 5th. So still lots of time. Awesome. So thank you everyone who shared and for everyone who attended. Thank you again to our three panelists, Vida, Gareth, and Ashley. It was a pleasure to have you join us and to hear from you today. Thank you to Susan for moderating, and thank you to everyone who attended. If attendees would like to check out the social accounts and websites of today's panelists, the link will be shared in the chat now. We host our virtual Third Thursday events monthly, and as I mentioned, next month we'll be exploring Canada. Details will be shared in the chat now. And again, on behalf of the AC Hub and Algonquin College, we look forward to seeing you virtually next month on the Third Thursday.